On today's episode, we are looking for the truth about Tesla's Cybertruck. Let's start off with the most important issue facing the Cybertruck, its range. It's now been over a month since the release of Tesla's stainless steel pickup, and that means that we are starting to see a lot of real-world testing. The specifications for vehicles that are posted by companies are normally the results of testing in various laboratory conditions, and so are often the most idealistic numbers they can be, and in theory, that's fine because standardization and consistency is important. Until we start to notice significant discrepancies between lab testing and real life. In Cybertruck's case, the posted range for the dual-motor all-wheel drive variant was 340 miles on a fully charged battery. As any EV owner will tell you, the posted range on the advertisement is almost never the actual capability of a vehicle's battery. Too many variables can change how the battery performs that there would be no way of informing a potential customer of what their range will be. Just the tire size alone can lower the distance a battery can last for, and in the case of the dual-motor variant, the 35-inch all-terrain tires already drop the range to a reported 318 miles. Apparently, the 340 miles rating is with all-season tires, which aren't actually available yet for the Cybertruck. But like we said, folks who have been lucky enough to receive their Cybertruck in the last 4 weeks or so have been gathering some data, and we do have at least one test of the truck's actual range in the wild to go over. On January 7th, YouTube car review channel Out of Spec Reviews ran an experiment with a Cybertruck they managed to get their hands on. The configuration used was the dual-motor all-wheel drive truck, which was charged to 100% capacity and then driven up and down a toll roadway in Austin, Texas at about 70 miles per hour until the truck ran out of power. They got to about 254 miles before the stainless steel pickup finally died in a parking lot. So that's over 22% less actual range than the 318 we would have expected, which is a pretty big discrepancy for such an average driving test. Out of Spec says that the ambient temperature was right around 7 degrees Celsius, or about 45 Fahrenheit. That's not exactly warm, but it's also far from freezing cold, so again, a pretty average test. For context, I drive a 6-year-old Model 3 that was made long before Tesla's high-efficiency heat pump, and I'm in a Canadian city that has temperatures below freezing for at least 3 months out of the year, and I know that 7 degrees Celsius would only have a minor effect on my average range, maybe 5 or 10 miles. So given that the Cybertruck has the new octo-valve heat pump and a fresh battery pack with all of the latest tech, we've got to call this range result pretty disappointing. We'd expected to see the Cybertruck range falter like this under more extreme situations, like towing a larger trailer or carrying heavy weight in the bed, driving through mountain ranges, or in actual winter weather conditions. So for anyone who's intending to tow a camper or drive up a snowy mountain road in a Cybertruck, your actual range is probably going to end up somewhere below 200 miles, even worse with the Cyberbeast mode. And that makes the $16,000 range extender accessory seem like a bit more of a necessary feature for anybody intending to push the Cybertruck to its limits. Of course, we'd love to be proven wrong, but we're just calling what we see. Something that we are constantly striving for with this channel is education. My number one goal has always been to help you learn something new about the technology that is changing our world. You don't have to be an expert to watch the Tesla space. I'm certainly not an expert myself, and I'm learning right along with you. So I'm constantly in search of free and easy methods to learn more about how science and technology affect the world around us and shape our future. And the best way for me personally to learn new things is by doing hands-on activities. This is why I've become such a fan of today's sponsor, Brilliant. Brilliant is the best way to learn math, data science, and computer science interactively. More specifically, though, Brilliant is a fun and interactive online platform that is easy to use. Imagine the exact opposite of your high school science textbooks. Brilliant offers thousands of lessons in STEM fields that cover all levels from basics to advanced topics. This is customized content that moves at your own pace, and new lessons are added every month, so you always have something new to learn and explore.
I've been learning all about artificial intelligence and neural networks recently, and this is something I've always struggled to really understand the details of, but the visual animations on Brilliant are helping me to get there one lesson at a time. The more you learn about STEM, the closer you get to understanding how technology is changing our world, and I think that's pretty cool, which is why I'm inviting you to give Brilliant a shot. To try everything Brilliant has to offer, free for a full 30 days, visit brilliant.org/theteslaspace or click on the link in the description. The first 200 of you will get 20% off Brilliant's annual premium subscription.
The overall performance of the Cybertruck has been a source of debate since its debut in November, with several videos of drivers getting stuck in snow or other off-road conditions being shared around during this past month or so. Admittedly, these videos are pretty funny to watch, but they mostly come down to user error. You can tell right away that these people behind the wheel are out of their element, so it shouldn't really be taken as an example of the vehicle's true capability. Another benefit of having Tesla's new truck out in the world is that some experienced truck and off-road drivers get to weigh in on how it actually performs, and, as it turns out, it does fairly well in the hands of someone who is actually used to driving on anything other than pavement. One example that stands out was showcased in a January 7th video by content creator Arash Malik. Being one of the lucky first owners of the new tri-motor Cyberbeast Cybertruck, Malik gets a friend named Andy who drives a large F-350 diesel pickup and off-roads as a hobby to test the Tesla truck's capabilities. First, they tow a 3,000-pound Brawley, which is a rugged electric off-road vehicle, all the way to a recreational dune area in Utah. During the ride, the experienced truck driver comments that it doesn't feel like the Cybertruck is pulling anything. And sure, there is no trailer, but the Brawley is using the trip to recharge with its regenerative braking mechanism, so there should be some friction there. The Cybertruck is completely unhindered, accelerating and passing other vehicles easily. Now, 3,000 pounds is far less than the 11,000 pounds boasted by Tesla in the tri-motor variant's purchasing material, but the truck owner believes that it could likely haul anything that his usual diesel truck could if needed to. But then the real test, the dunes. Again, for the past month, Tesla critics have been posting videos of drivers who have gotten their new Cybertrucks stuck in places that seem like they should be drivable for a vehicle that was advertised as a serious off-road capable truck. So a place with loose sand would likely cause some problems, right? Nope. With Andy at the wheel, the truck is put into its off-roading Baja mode, and it starts driving around the lightly packed dunes with little difficulty, even taking some inclines. But it wasn't just this dune test that proved how well the Cybertruck could handle adverse conditions. There was some snow testing too. In a video made just one day before the dune test, Malik's friend Andy can again be seen helping out another group test their truck on some unexpectedly snowy road conditions. The group decides to try and get the Cybertruck to fishtail and maybe even do some donuts. But they quickly find that the truck's traction control features prevent that from happening until they shut those safety features off and hit the accelerator. This finally gets some donuts, but the difficulty is encouraging for anyone who might be worried about how well the Cybertruck handles slippery road conditions. And even earlier than that, on January 1st, a group of testers took the Cybertruck out into the Arizona desert for some driving in the rocky terrain there. Again, with hardly any issues. So that is all pretty cool to see, though I'd say that we still haven't seen anyone truly pushing the Cybertruck to its limits. There's nothing that couldn't be done with your average four-wheel drive. And fair enough, it's an ultra-rare, brand new $100,000 truck, so obviously no one wants to break it, but when Cybertruck is basically advertised as an indestructible apocalypse survival machine, we're still left wanting to see just a little bit more. Even though most testing being done on the Cybertruck by new owners and content creators is focusing on the big things like battery life and towing capacity, in every instance the people testing the truck commented on the little details that they enjoyed. During the snow tests on January 6th, the crew commented on how much light the vehicle's enormous windshield let in. During the dune test the day after, passengers noted that the sound system was actually as good or better than the premium aftermarket systems they had been installing in their regular trucks. The seats and steering wheel were comfortable, and we even got a demonstration of how charging devices like camera batteries works. That big infotainment control screen looked like it was working really well too, and it intuitively asked if the driver wanted to swap into towing mode when it detected that they were pulling more weight. Unfortunately, the dash seemed like it was a little too big for some of the testers, or at least too deep. They pointed out that it might be a little difficult for detailing services to manage, which is a small issue. I'd imagine they can just put a cloth on a stick and reach the front. Another slight disappointment came from Elon Musk himself in a response to a post on X.com asking when the Cybertruck would be starting its own full self-driving beta run. Unfortunately, Elon says that FSD in Cybertrucks are the lowest priority, due mainly to the fact that there aren't very many of them on the road versus the millions of other FSD-capable Tesla vehicles. We'd have to imagine that both the steer-by-wire system and the four-wheel steering would require a significantly reworked version of FSD specifically coded for Cybertruck. They might even need to train an entirely different neural network based on the Cybertruck's specific data, which will be in extremely short supply for quite some time. But FSD aside, there doesn't seem to be much complaining going on about the little details in the Cybertruck, which tells us that most, if not all, of the advertised accessories and add-ons are working fairly well. All told, the Cybertruck doesn't really fall much short on its advertised features than any other Tesla vehicles do when exposed to real-world conditions. In fact, the company just recently had to adjust the stated ranges of their vehicles to align with a new ruling from the EPA. Give it a couple of months and we'll know even more about the Cybertruck's capabilities across the board and maybe get some upgrades from Tesla's design team. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more content like this, please consider supporting us directly on Patreon and hit the like button. If content like this starts to perform well for us, then we can continue to make a lot more high quality videos for you in the future.